The night is still. The air feels soft and full, carrying the quiet hum of the earth. Somewhere in the distance, a faint fire crackles, its rhythm gentle and slow, as if it has always been there. The world has gone silent for a while. The noise of cities, the pulse of light, the restless turning of time, all of it fades into the dark. Here, everything moves differently. The moments stretch and dissolve. Time stops being a thing that passes and becomes something that simply exists, wide, open, and patient. You are far away from the rush of clocks and screens. You are closer now to the first stillness, the one that came before the first word, the first light, the first spark of fire. Imagine standing at the edge of that beginning. There are no roads, no walls, no sounds of machines. Only the breath of wind across open ground and the distant call of something alive. The stars above are sharp and endless, the same stars that have always been there. They do not move quickly, and they do not judge. They simply burn, steady and ancient, watching the quiet earth below. A small flame flickers near the mouth of a cave. Shadows move across the walls, soft, uneven, alive. A few figures lie close to the fire, wrapped in hides and warmth. Their breathing is deep, slow, steady. It is the rhythm of survival, the rhythm of life before language. The air smells of smoke and stone. It carries the faint sound of sleep. There is no rush here, no noise, no urgency. The world is at rest. You can feel it in the air, in the deep quiet between heartbeats. The night holds everything, the past, the future, the still moment in between. This is where the story begins. Not in history books or cities or wars, but here, in this small circle of firelight, in the first awareness of warmth against cold, in the slow, patient rhythm of existence. The first humans do not speak much. They do not need to. They listen. To the sound of crackling wood, to the wind brushing the mouth of their shelter, to the shifting of the earth beneath their feet. Every sound has meaning, even in silence. The fire glows brighter for a moment, then fades, then glows again. Someone stirs and reaches forward, placing another branch on the embers. Sparks rise into the air, drifting upward toward the stars. For a brief second, the smoke and the starlight become one. The earth and the sky are connected by a single, glowing thread. Somewhere in that moment, awareness stirs. It is small, almost invisible, but it changes everything. A thought forms, simple, wordless. I am alive. It does not need to be spoken. It simply exists, as natural as breathing, as certain as the warmth of the fire. The world, vast and wild, does not yet have names. The mountains are simply there, unmoved and eternal. The rivers wind softly through stone. The animals move quietly in the dark. Everything belongs to everything else. There is no border, no ownership, no distance between life and world. As you listen, you might feel that same stillness reaching you. The slow rhythm of fire, the breath of ancient air, the calm weight of being. You are not outside this story. You are part of it. You are the descendant of those quiet lives, the continuation of their thought, their fire, their breath. There is no need to think or remember. The only thing to do now is to be here, to breathe, to feel, to rest. The fire warms you even from far away. The darkness is soft, not empty. It wraps around the world like a blanket. In this moment, there is no future to reach for, no past to recall. There is only the hum of life itself, steady, deep, and endless. This is the quiet beginning of everything, before words, before stories, before the rush of history. The night continues, slow and endless. The stars keep their patient watch. The fire burns low, its light pulsing softly against the walls of stone. And you, like the first of us, are simply here, breathing, safe and still. The world will turn again soon. The light will return, as it always does. But for now, there is only this, quiet, warm, eternal. The gentle rhythm of being alive beneath an ancient sky. Morning in the Stone Age. The night begins to lift, the stars fade one by one until only the faintest traces of light remain on the horizon. The fire that kept its quiet vigil through the dark has burned down to a slow, pulsing glow. Thin smoke drifts upward, twisting in the still air, carrying with it the smell of ash and earth. The first breath of morning is cool. It slides gently across the land, brushing over grass, stone and skin. The world feels clean again, untouched and unhurried. Somewhere in the distance, water moves, soft and steady, the sound of a stream making its way through the rocks. A figure stirs beside the embers, pulling the fur closer for a moment before opening their eyes. There is no sense of alarm, no rush to wake. The body rises because the light says it is time. The sky, still pale and uncertain, grows brighter with each breath. They move slowly, stretching stiff limbs turning toward the east. The first rays of sunlight spill across the plain, painting the land in soft gold. For a while, they simply stand there, feeling the warmth on their face. It is the same light that has touched the world since before memory. The same sun that will one day rise over cities, oceans and towers. But here it feels personal. The world is small, and the light belongs to it entirely. Around the fire, others begin to wake. A few coals are nudged together. A dry twig is added, then another. Someone leans forward and breathes gently until the smoke thickens and the orange glow returns. Flames catch again, dancing quietly in the morning air. There is no word for morning routine. There is no concept of time divided into hours. The sun is the only clock, and its message is simple. It is another day. The people answer by living. They rise and move without speaking. The day's first tasks are known, not through command or plan, but through rhythm. One gathers wood, moving toward the trees where dry branches lie hidden beneath leaves. Another walks to the stream with a hollowed gourd, dipping it carefully into the water. The ripples spread outward, catching sunlight in soft flashes. Children follow, curious and laughing quietly. They find smooth stones, small insects, the wonder of something new. Their games are lessons, their lessons are play. There is no separation between learning and being. Closer to the fire, someone begins to prepare food, a handful of berries, a root dug from the soil the day before, a strip of dried meat kept safe through the night. The portions are small but enough. They eat slowly, not from hunger alone, but from awareness. The body understands that food is effort turned into energy, the direct result of work and patience. Nothing is wasted. The sounds of the morning are soft but full, the crackle of wood, the murmur of water, the distant call of birds greeting the light. Each sound finds its place in the air, forming a kind of quiet music. There are no instruments here, but there is harmony. When the meal is done, the group moves outward. The hunters gather their spears, checking each tip for sharpness. The gatherers tie small pouches made of hide around their waists, ready to fill them with berries, nuts, or herbs. There is no rush. Each motion is measured, thoughtful. They have learned that the land rewards patience. The hunters move first, their steps light and deliberate. The earth beneath them is cool and slightly damp from the night. They follow faint trails through grass and brush, reading the signs of movement left by animals, the bend of a twig, the shape of a footprint, a feather caught in the wind. The skill is instinct now, passed down not through words, but through the rhythm of observation. Back at the camp, the others tend to what remains. Someone checks the shelter, tightening the ropes made of vine, pressing the stones back into place. Another cleans a tool, a flint knife, chipped but still sharp. Every action has meaning, even the simplest ones. To survive is not just to fight against the world, but to move with it. As the sun rises higher, the world brightens into color. The greens of grass and leaves, the brown of soil and bark, the blue of distant sky, all deepen and shift as the light strengthens. The air carries warmth now, but the wind still feels cool on the skin. The day has fully begun. For a few moments they pause. The hunters, far from camp, kneel near a clearing, scanning the horizon. The gatherers pick through shrubs, their hands brushing over berries and roots. The camp sits still, holding its quiet space between the waking earth and the endless sky. It is morning in the Stone Age. There is no calendar to mark it, no date to remember. Yet this moment, this light, this breath, this beginning feels timeless. It could be any day in the span of thousands of years, and still it would feel the same. The first people do not know the word history. They do not imagine the far future where their lives will be studied, written about, or recreated in stories. They only know what is here, the warmth of the sun, the sound of the wind, the closeness of others. For them, existence is not a concept, it is a rhythm. The rhythm of waking, walking, working, resting, and beginning again. As the day continues, they move together like parts of one living thing. Each breath aligns with the next, each motion fits within the greater pulse of life. Nothing is separate. The world and the people are one body, one rhythm, one continuous motion of survival and peace. And as the light grows stronger, the shadows fade, the fire burns low, its work, for now, complete. The morning has arrived fully, warm and gentle. Life continues quietly, as it has for thousands of years, with no need for anything more. The earth turns beneath them. The sky opens above. And somewhere, in that still, golden space between, the first humans live their simple, perfect morning, unaware that they are writing the earliest chapter of all our stories. Fire and food. The sun stands higher now, calm and bright, spreading warmth across the open land. The morning mist has faded, leaving behind a soft haze that shimmers over the grass. The world feels larger in daylight, but quieter too, as if everything has settled into its place. The people move slowly, unhurried, shaped by the rhythm of the day. The fire that had carried them through the night still burns, though smaller now, a cluster of orange light among grey ash. Someone kneels beside it, stirring the coals with a stick, feeding them a few dry twigs. The flame rises again, steady, alive, faithful. It is never left alone. Fire is more than warmth. It is memory, safety, and continuity. To keep it alive is to keep time itself from slipping away. They call no one to gather. There are no commands, no urgency. The pattern of life flows like water, smooth and predictable. The hunters are already gone, their silhouettes small against the horizon. The gatherers move among the trees, searching for what the earth offers this day. The camp hums with quiet purpose. Fire is at the center of everything. It gives light when the sun leaves, heat when the air cools, courage when darkness presses too close. It cooks food, softening what was once harsh or dangerous. It turns the raw into the living. Around it, the people rest, speak softly, repair tools, and eat. Someone returns from the edge of the woods, carrying a bundle of branches and bark. Another follows with a handful of tubers, their hands covered in earth. The air smells faintly of smoke and soil, of something ancient and alive. They sit together, wordless but connected, their bodies turned toward the flame as if drawn by instinct. A few stones are arranged near the fire. On them they place their food, roots split open, berries pressed between fingers, meat warmed slowly over the coals. There are no spices, no recipes, only the simplicity of what the land gives. They eat with their hands, quietly, sharing without thought or measure. The act itself is the ritual. For a long while, no one speaks. The sound of chewing, the crackle of the fire, the distant murmur of wind fills the silence. The rhythm of it is soothing, predictable, human. It is the first kind of peace that people ever knew, the peace of being fed, of being warm, of being alive. When hunger fades, they sit back, letting the warmth of the fire wash over their faces. The sun is high now, but the flames still hold their own light, softer, more intimate. A child traces shapes in the ash with a stick. An older one watches the smoke drift upward, eyes following its slow dance into the sky. Every spark carries the same mystery. Light that comes from nothing, warmth that moves through air, a moment that exists and then vanishes. They do not yet have words for energy or combustion or heat, but they understand what matters, that fire is life and that it must be protected. When the hunters return, the camp stirs again. Their steps are light but certain. They carry what they have found, a small animal, some fruits, a bundle of herbs tied together with fiber. There is no celebration, no boasting, only quiet relief. Survival is not victory here, it is rhythm, repeated endlessly and without pride. The fire grows larger for the meal. Meat is placed on stones, turned slowly until it hisses and steams. The smell fills the air, sharp and rich, mingling with smoke. The gatherers lay leaves on the ground, setting food upon them. Everyone eats together, not because of custom or rule, but because closeness feels safe. The body knows that warmth shared is warmth multiplied. The meal is slow, the taste is simple, earth, smoke, life. Each bite connects them to the land, to the hands that found it, to the flame that changed it. No one wastes a thing. When it is done, the remains are gathered, bones set aside to be shaped into tools later, ashes spread to keep insects away. Nothing is discarded, everything continues its purpose. As the light shifts toward afternoon, some rest, lying near the fire, eyes half closed. Others work in silence, mending a spear, sharpening a blade, binding a handle with hide. The fire burns steadily beside them, a constant heartbeat. Its crackling is the oldest language they know. Sometimes a spark leaps free and fades in the air. Sometimes the smoke drifts toward the trees, carrying the scent of life across the valley. Birds circle overhead, the sound of insects rises, a low, steady drone beneath the warmth of the day. The world hums with quiet motion, and yet it feels still. No one fears the silence. It is the sound of everything working as it should. The people have learned that life does not need noise to be full. The fire speaks enough for all of them. Its voice is calm, ancient, patient. When the sun begins to lower, the camp stirs again. Shadows stretch longer across the earth, and the air cools. Someone adds more wood to the fire, arranging it carefully so that it will last into the night. The light deepens from gold to red, then to a soft orange glow. They gather once more, their movements slow and certain. The children sit closer to the warmth. The elders lean back, resting. The smell of smoke clings to skin and hair, familiar and comforting. The fire is smaller now but steady, breathing in rhythm with the people around it. This is not a feast, not a ritual, not even a meal. It is the heart of life itself, simple, continuous, eternal. The exchange between fire and breath, between warmth and rest, between hunger and peace. The same pattern that began thousands of years ago still moves through every human day that follows. For a while, they watch the last light fade from the horizon. The fire burns lower, its coals glowing like small suns in the dark. The world feels vast, but the circle around the flame is small and safe. There is no need for thought, no need for prayer, no need for words. Just breath. Just warmth, just the sound of a quiet world still turning beneath an endless sky. And as the stars begin to return, faint and patient, the fire continues its soft song, the sound of life repeating endlessly in every age. Stone, bone, and skill. The afternoon light softens as the sun begins its slow descent. The warmth lingers, but the shadows stretch longer now, spilling gently across the ground. The air feels still, filled with the faint smell of smoke and dust. The day moves quietly into its middle rhythm, a time not F. Someone kneels near the fire, holding a smooth, flat stone in one hand and another smaller one in the other. The first strike is soft, then another, and another. Each one rings out with a sound that is neither sharp nor harsh, but steady. Stone meeting stone, rhythm meeting P. There is no hurry. The work cannot be rushed. The hands know the rhythm by heart, guided by instinct older than memory. Each strike finds its place, deliberate and sure. The shape begins to form. Not perfectly, but precisely enough to serve. A tool, a blade, a point that will cut through hide, through wood, through time. The others work too. Some sit in the shade, stretching animal skins, scraping away what is rough, softening what can be softened. Others carve bone into needles, pierce holes, twist fibers into cord. The sounds blend together. The tap of stone, the scrape of bone, the slow exhale of breath. It is not noise but music. In this moment, creation feels quiet. There is no ceremony, no audience, no applause. Only focus. Only motion. The work is not about beauty, it is about purpose. A sharp edge can mean survival. A thread can mean warmth. A well-made tool can mean another day of life. Every object carries the memory of its making. The marks left behind are stories in themselves. A hunter will carry the blade that someone else shaped. A mother will sew with the needle carved by another hand. Nothing here is owned, everything is shared through use. The tools pass between people like language. The sun lowers slightly, glinting off the edge of new stone. A child watches the shaping, eyes wide, silent. They mimic the motion, picking up their own pebble and tapping it gently against another. The gesture is clumsy, but the rhythm is there, the rhythm of learning without words. Teaching is not something spoken. It happens in silence, through repetition, through presence. One pair of hands guides another, not by command, but by example. The knowledge of survival travels through time this way, unbroken, unseen, unspoken. Nearby, someone threads sinew through a hole in hide, pulling it tight, forming a loop. Another twists fibers together, creating rope strong enough to lift or tie or carry. The tasks repeat, day after day, generation after generation, until the movements themselves become memory. The camp hums softly. The air is full of motion, but nothing feels hurried. The people work with the same care that the river gives to stone, slow, persistent, inevitable. Each action shapes the world a little more. A young man chips a larger rock, striking it from the core. the fragment breaks free, thin and sharp. He holds it to the light, turning it between his fingers. The surface gleams faintly, reflecting the fire. It is enough. He sets it aside, places another beside it, and begins again. Tools are not just things, they are the continuation of thought. The hand imagines before it moves. The mind measures before the stone splits. Even without words, there is understanding. The body becomes its own kind of language, one that speaks through repetition and result. As the day drifts toward its quiet end, the tools are laid out beside the fire. There is no pride in them, only recognition. A new blade, a stronger rope, a smoother bowl carved from wood. Each piece holds a little of its maker's attention, a trace of their breath, the warmth of their hands. The light softens to gold. Dust hangs in the air, glowing in the last reach of the sun. The people rest for a moment, looking at what they've made. No one speaks, they do not need to. The stillness between them is full enough. Far away, a bird calls once, then again. The echo rolls through the valley and fades. The work slows. The fire crackles softly, the tools cool on the earth. In this world, nothing is wasted. A broken flint will become a scraper. A splinter of bone will become a needle. Even the smallest fragments find purpose. The land gives everything, and in return, the people learn not to take more than they need. The sky begins to deepen to amber and grey. The warmth of the sun fades, replaced by the faint breath of evening wind. Someone gathers the finished tools, arranging them in a careful pile. They will be needed again tomorrow. The cycle will begin again. The last task is quiet. One person takes a long branch and carves its end into a smooth curve. They press a small stone blade against it, scraping, shaping. Slowly, the rough bark peels away, revealing pale wood beneath. When it is done, they hold it up, testing the balance, the weight. It feels right. The fire reflects in their eyes, small points of light mirroring the stars, soon to appear above. The day has been spent, but nothing has been lost. Every motion, every sound, every breath has been part of the long rhythm of creation. This is what life means now, not invention or progress, but continuation. The same patience that shaped stone shapes the future. The same fire that softened meat warms the hands that build. The same wind that moves the trees carries the dust of every tool ever made. As the last sunlight slips behind the hills, the camp glows softly in the half-dark. The air cools and the fire grows brighter by contrast. Around it, the people sit in silence, the sound of the day fading into the hush of evening. Somewhere in the distance, the first stars begin to show, faint but steady. The world turns, the fire breathes, and the quiet hands of humanity continue their endless, patient work. Shelter and community. The light softens. The sun, now low on the horizon, spreads a gentle warmth that begins to fade with every passing moment. Long shadows move quietly across the ground, stretching from the trees, the stones, the people. The day begins to settle, the air cooling, the sounds of work giving way to stillness. Around the small circle of fire, there is movement once more, quiet and sure. Someone gathers the tools that were shaped during the day, laying them neatly near a wall of woven branches. Others begin to prepare the shelter for the coming night. The shelters are simple, but they are enough. Some are made of branches and reeds, bound together with vines and covered in animal hides. Others are shaped from stone, built low and curved, the gaps filled with clay and mud. They stand close together, forming small clusters around the central fire. Each one feels like a heartbeat, steady and constant. Inside, the ground is smooth and cool. The air carries the smell of earth and smoke, the faint sweetness of dried grass. Beds of furs and leaves are arranged carefully, not for comfort as we know it, but for rest, for the simple act of lying close to warmth. Children move between the shelters, chasing one another in the soft dust. Their laughter is quiet, unforced, the sound of life continuing without effort. They mimic the adults, gathering small stones, stacking them, pretending to build. Their games are not separate from learning, they are learning itself. Every gesture, every imitation, carries the first lessons of community. Near the fire, an elder sits, watching. The face is lined, not from years as we count them, but from weather, wind, and time. Their eyes reflect the flames, soft and deep. Around them, younger ones listen as they work, mending a net, tying a rope, shaping wood into smooth forms. No one explains, no one instructs. The knowledge passes quietly from one pair of hands to another, like a whisper that never stops. In this place, there is no word for teacher, no word for lesson. Life itself teaches. The world provides the rhythm, the people move with it. When someone learns to make fire, to hunt, to shape stone, they do so not because they are told to, but because it feels like remembering something already known. The community moves as one body. Each person has a role, and each role shifts gently as needed. When the hunters are gone, others watch over the children. When someone is sick, the rest share food and warmth. When danger comes, all stand together. Survival is not a single act, it is a shared motion, repeated through countless days. As dusk deepens, the fire in the center glows brighter. People gather around it, their shapes forming a loose circle. The smoke rises, curling upward into the dimming sky. The air is filled with the scent of burning wood and earth. The faint crackle of fire mixes with the slow murmur of voices, small, steady sounds that weave together like threads in a quiet fabric. There are no walls here, no boundaries. The space between shelters feels open, safe. Everyone is close enough to see the firelight on another's face, to hear a breath, a sigh, a word. Togetherness is not a choice, it is instinct, a kind of gravity that pulls life toward warmth. Inside one of the shelters, a mother hums softly while brushing her child's hair with her fingers. The melody is wordless, slow, steady, something ancient and familiar. The hum blends with the sound of the fire, with the wind moving through leaves, with the night's first insects beginning their song. It becomes part of the rhythm of the world. The camp begins to quiet. Some still work in the fading light, tying bundles of reeds, arranging stones at the entrance of a shelter. Others sit close to the fire, eyes distant, hands still. The world feels suspended between light and dark, between waking and rest. Above, the first stars appear, faint and blinking. They mirror the glow of the coals below, as if the sky and earth are reflecting one another. Someone adds another log to the fire. Sparks rise, drift, and disappear into the night. There is peace in this rhythm, the slow turning of day into night, the quiet acceptance of what is. No one asks for more than the world gives. No one imagines themselves apart from it. The people belong to the land as the fire belongs to the night. The shelters now glow softly from within. Shadows move along their walls, the outlines of bodies settling down for rest. The air hums with the warmth of closeness, the soft sound of breathing. There is comfort in knowing that others are near, that the same flame warms every heart. Outside, The elder still sits by the fire. Their eyes follow the smoke as it drifts upward into the dark. They know the meaning of this quiet, though no words are spoken. The fire will fade soon, but it will return tomorrow. The children will wake, the hunters will leave, the gatherers will work. Life will continue, steady, circular, eternal. The wind shifts, carrying the smell of rain from far away. Somewhere in the distance, thunder murmurs softly, too far to be threat, close enough to be felt. The elder lifts their face to the sky, watching the stars between the clouds. Everything is as it should be. Inside the shelters, the last movement still. Someone sighs, someone turns over. The fire burns lower, its glow pulsing like a heartbeat. The sounds of the camp fade into the steady whisper of night. The first raindrops begin to fall, soft, light, like fingertips brushing the earth. They patter gently on the roofs of hide and branch, on the stones, on the leaves. The fire hisses, but holds its light. The air fills with the clean, quiet scent of wet soil. In the half-dark, the community sleeps. The world breathes around them. The rain continues its slow song. The fire whispers. The night closes its arms. And in that deep stillness, life endures, warm, connected, and whole. Evening, fires, and storytelling. Night has arrived softly, like a blanket pulled over the land. The last trace of sunlight slips beneath the horizon, and the sky deepens to a dark, endless blue. Stars begin to bloom, small, patient, and unhurried. The wind moves slowly now, gentle enough to stir only the edges of the firelight. The camp breathes in rhythm with the earth. The fire at the center glows brighter against the dark. It crackles softly, its light moving over faces, over stone, over the curve of the shelters. Sparks rise and vanish into the night air, like small thoughts released and forgotten. People gather closer to its warmth, their shapes outlined by the flickering glow. The day's work is done, there is nothing left but this, the calm between effort and sleep. Someone adds another piece of wood to the fire. The flames stretch upward for a moment, licking at the air before settling again. Shadows shift along the ground, long and fluid. The world has grown quiet except for the sound of breathing, the gentle rustle of furs, and the small, steady voice of the flame. A few sit in silence, staring into the fire's heart. The orange and red light reflects in their eyes, the way stars reflect on water. The heat feels alive, a living thing that hums and whispers. For a long time, no one speaks. The fire speaks enough. Its rhythm is the same as their own, the slow pulse of existence. Then softly, a voice begins. It is not loud or commanding. It moves like wind across grass, gentle and even. The words are slow, spaced far apart, as if they have traveled a long way to arrive here. The story begins not with magic, not with gods, but with memory. It is the story of a hunt, of a river, of a storm long ago. The storyteller does not act or perform, they simply remember out loud. The others listen in stillness, their eyes half closed, their bodies turned toward the sound. The story is not meant to teach, or to warn, or to impress. It is meant to keep the night company. As the voice continues, the fire shifts, its glow deepening, shadows curling closer. The stars seem to draw nearer, as if listening too. The words move like the river in the story, slow, steady, inevitable. There are pauses, long ones, but no discomfort in them. The silence is part of the tale. The listeners breathe together, their faces soft in the glow. Every sound seems larger now, the distant call of an owl, the whisper of wind through the trees, the faint crackle as a branch splits in the flame. The story wraps around these sounds, holds them gently, makes them part of its rhythm. In this world, storytelling is not art, it is survival of the spirit. Long before writing, before memory could be stored in stone or clay, it lived in voices and breath. Each word carries warmth, each pause carries meaning. The story does not belong to the teller, it belongs to everyone who listens. Another voice joins in, a correction, a small addition, a remembered detail. Laughter stirs, soft and low. No one minds the change. The story is alive, shaped by whoever touches it. Each retelling smooths it a little more, the way water shapes a stone. The children are drowsy now, leaning against their parents, eyes heavy but open. The firelight paints soft colors on their faces, gold, amber, shadow. They listen without understanding everything, but they understand the feeling, safety, closeness, belonging. The sound of the story becomes a lullaby. The elder who spoke falls silent, and another begins. This voice is higher, lighter, the tone of youth. The tale is different now, simpler, a story of animals, of the moon chasing the sun, of the stars as old fires that never went out. The listeners smile faintly. The night deepens. Somewhere beyond the camp, a wolf howls, low and distant. The sound rolls across the plain, long and lonely, but no one is afraid. The fire keeps its promise, holding the darkness back. The storyteller pauses for a moment, letting the sound drift and fade, then continues as if the howl were part of the story all along. The flames sway with the words. Smoke rises and disappears into the black. The stars wheel slowly overhead, ancient and indifferent. Time no longer feels like something that moves forward. It feels circular, turning gently like the glow of the fire, like the rhythm of breath and story repeating itself across endless nights. As one story ends, silence returns, not empty, but full. The air feels heavy with warmth and memory. Someone shifts, stretching their legs. Someone adds another stick to the coals. The crackle begins again, soft and steady. Another tale begins. This one is shorter, a memory from the day, a moment when a hunter slipped and fell into the stream, or when a child found a bird's egg and mistook it for a stone. The laughter that follows is quiet, shared, more breath than sound. It spreads like light, small but enough. The night carries on this way, unhurried. One story after another, voices weaving together and fading apart. Sometimes they fall silent altogether, watching the fire dim, listening to the world beyond. The wind, the distant rustle of animals, the endless breathing of the forest. The act of telling becomes softer, slower. The voices lower until they are almost whispers. The fire burns down to embers, glowing faintly beneath the ash. The stars above seem brighter now, countless and clear. The people no longer speak in full sentences, only fragments, half thoughts, quiet laughter, a sigh. One by one they drift away from the circle, returning to their shelters. The last storyteller remains for a while, staring into the coals. They reach forward and stir the ashes gently, covering the smallest flames, keeping just enough warmth to start again in the morning. The night closes in, the world is still. The only sound left is the faint breath of wind and the soft hum of the fire's last glow. The stories have ended, but their echoes linger in the air, invisible, carried on the smoke. They will return tomorrow, reshaped, remembered, told again. Inside the shelters, the children sleep first, their dreams filled with fragments of what they heard. The river, the animals, the stars. The adults follow soon after, their breathing falling into the same rhythm as the night. The camp is quiet once more, the fire's light pulsing like a heartbeat. Beyond the circle, the land stretches into shadow. The moon climbs higher, pale and calm. Somewhere, water moves. Somewhere, an owl calls again. The world continues, vast and untouched as it always has. And in the small circle of warmth and story, the people of the Stone Age sleep. The fire keeps its slow watch, whispering softly into the night, its light a memory, its sound a lullaby. The stories will live, carried forward not in books or monuments, but in breath and voice, in the simple act of remembering. The first storytellers are gone, but their rhythm remains, echoing through every campfire, every quiet evening, every dream that begins with the words, "Once, long ago." The stars shift above, silent witnesses to the endless cycle of story and sleep. The world breathes and the fire fades, and all is calm once more. Change begins. The night passes slowly, and when the light returns, it is soft and golden. The world looks almost the same, yet something beneath its surface has shifted. The air feels new, as though the earth itself has taken a deep breath. The people wake in silence, as they always do, but the rhythm of their days begins, quietly, to change. For countless generations, life has followed a circle: the hunt, the fire, the story, the rest. But now something subtle stirs inside that pattern. It begins not with invention, but with observation. A handful of seeds fallen from a plant near the camp take root by accident. Rain falls, the sun warms the soil, and soon green shoots rise where once there was only earth. Someone notices. They see that life can return to the same place, that food can come not only from wandering, but from waiting. It is not yet knowledge, just a small, wandering thought that settles like dust. But from such thoughts, everything begins. The people still travel with the seasons, still follow the herds and the rivers, but they stay a little longer each time. The fires burn in the same places, the shelters stand a little sturdier. The land begins to recognize them, and they begin to recognize the land. The rhythm of life slows, the endless movement softens into return. The first fields are not planned, not built with intention. They happen by chance, by patience, by observation, by time itself, teaching. Seeds dropped by hand, by wind, by hope. And when they rise again, green and certain, something changes in the hearts of those who see them. They begin to understand that the world does not always need to be chased. It can be tended, it can be trusted. Fire, once the heart of survival, now becomes a tool of creation. The people use it to clear patches of land, to shape the earth into something new. They learn that ashes make the soil richer, that smoke drives away insects. Knowledge grows quietly, without language, carried in memory and repetition. At first, there is confusion, the wild calls, as it always has, pulling them outward, urging movement. But the promise of growth, of food that waits instead of fleeing, pulls them back. The struggle between wandering and staying becomes the quiet tension of a new world. The first gardens are small, mere scratches in the soil. The crops are few and fragile, but when they sprout, the sight feels miraculous. For the first time, the people see the result of their own waiting. They see time made visible. The earth, once unpredictable, begins to respond to their care. The animals change too. The wolves that linger near the camp, once feared, become familiar. They learn the rhythm of the people, drawn by scraps and warmth. Some stay longer, sleeping near the edge of the firelight. Trust grows between species, cautious but real. In time, the wolves become dogs, companions rather than threats. Another quiet change that will echo for millennia. With plants and animals both growing closer to the people, the wild begins to soften. The lines between what is nature and what is human blur. The world becomes smaller but also deeper, filled with new kinds of meaning. Shelters grow larger, steadier. Instead of branches and hides, people begin to build with clay and stone. The walls stand longer, surviving rain and wind. Fires are made not just for warmth, but for cooking, for shaping clay, for comfort. The camp becomes a home. There is still movement, but it is different now. Not the restless wandering of survival, but the steady rhythm of tending. Days are marked not by distance traveled, but by the sun's position over the fields. The hands that once held spears now hold seeds. The rhythm of existence has shifted, from hunt to harvest, from pursuit to patience. Evenings grow quieter. Around the fire, the stories change. They are no longer only of danger or distance. They begin to tell of growth, of weather, of the passing of seasons. Time itself becomes something that can be measured in cycles, not just days. The people begin to remember differently. The children listen and learn about planting, about the right moment to cut the grain, about the signs of rain and drought. They grow up with their feet on the same ground year after year, learning its moods, its secrets. Their world is smaller than their ancestors, but their roots reach deeper. The sky still rules everything, the sun, the moon, the stars, but now the people understand them in new ways. They begin to mark when the light is longest, when the darkness is deep. They notice that the stars return to the same places in the sky each year. Time gains shape. The year becomes a circle within circles. The fire remains at the center of it all. It is no longer only protection or warmth, but a reminder, a connection to what came before. Around it, people still sit, still tell stories, still find comfort in the dance of flame and shadow. But now the fire burns beside walls, beside fields, beside the quiet hum of new life. Change does not come all at once. It moves slowly, like water shaping stone. Seasons pass, generations follow, and the memory of the old life fades but never disappears. Some still travel, some still hunt. The wild remains vast and full of mystery, but more and more the people choose to stay. The sound of tools replaces the sound of footsteps. The rhythm of work replaces the rhythm of movement. And with it comes something new, a sense of ownership, of place, of belonging. The earth is no longer something they pass through. It is something they care for, something that cares for them in return. The first villages appear, clusters of shelters surrounded by open land. Fires burn in the same spots night after night, their smoke curling gently into the morning sky. The people begin to bury their dead nearby, marking the ground not just with life, but with memory. For the first time, the idea of home extends beyond the living. Time stretches forward in quiet certainty. The harvests grow larger, the fields expand, the stories deepen. People begin to make pots to hold the grain, to weave baskets to carry it. They learn to grind the seeds into flour, to bake bread on stones warmed by the fire. Each discovery leads to another, small and slow but steady. The world around them changes too. Forests recede as the fields spread. Rivers are crossed with stones laid carefully in lines. Animals are bred for milk, for wool, for strength. The bond between people and nature grows closer and more complex, and yet, through it all, the rhythm remains, the same breath, the same warmth, the same circle around the fire at night. The people do not know that they are standing at the edge of what will one day be called civilization. They do not know that their fields and walls and fires are the beginning of a new age. To them, it is simply another way of being alive, another quiet day beneath the same endless sky. When night falls again, the fields glow softly under the moonlight. The air smells of earth and smoke, of growth and rest. The people gather once more, tired but calm, the warmth of the fire wrapping them in its steady light. Someone tells a story not of the past, but of what is to come. A story of seeds growing, of animals returning, of the seasons turning again. It is not prophecy, only the gentle recognition of change. The others listen, their eyes half closed, the sound of the fire blending with the whisper of the wind. The world has begun to move differently now, not faster, not louder, but with purpose. The endless wandering has found its home. The long road of humanity has taken its first turn toward the future. And still in the quiet between words, there is the same peace as before. The fire glows. The wind moves through the fields. The stars watch in silence. The story continues, slow and unbroken, like breath. The Manhattan Project. The fire that once warmed the caves has traveled far. Across thousands of years, it has changed its shape, from sparks in stone to lamps to wires to the invisible hum of modern light. Yet even now, at its heart, it remains the same, a flicker of energy born from curiosity and fed by human hands. It is no longer a campfire by the river. It is a quiet glow behind walls of steel, a pulse of electricity beneath the surface of cities, a whisper inside the machines that fill the world with motion. And somewhere, in the wide deserts of the 20th century, the fire changes once again. The world has grown louder, engines roar, trains thunder, airplanes carve the air, but hidden within all that noise are places of silence. In those secret rooms, men and women sit at long tables. They write with pencils, they think, they measure, and they wait. The work has no single name. It is known only by a code, the Manhattan Project. Far from the crowded cities, a new landscape hums with quiet movement. Machines breathe, wires glow, metal melts, then cools. Hands move carefully, guided by thought and duty, each unaware of the whole. Chemists, engineers, mathematicians, soldiers and secretaries, all part of something vast and hidden. Thousands of people, each holding a single thread of an idea they do not fully understand. The desert wind moves through sand and sagebrush, carrying the faint scent of dust and fuel. The sky above is vast, still as ancient stone, the same sky that once watched over our ancestors as they slept by their fires. The stars remain unchanged, only the hands reaching for them are different. Inside the laboratories, the air hums faintly with electricity. There is the click of switches, the scratch of chalk on blackboards, the murmured rhythm of numbers whispered into the air. Time is measured not by sun or moon, but by equations and reactions. Days blur into nights without distinction. The people here study the smallest things, atoms, neutrons, invisible particles that bind the universe together. They speak of mass and motion, of energy hidden within every grain of existence. The fire has become thought. It burns not in wood, but in the human mind. Somewhere, a man writes a formula that will change everything. Somewhere else, another sketches the shape of a machine that no one should ever need to build. None of them fully understand the whole. They only know it must be done. They are told it will end a war, that it will save lives. Beyond that, they ask no questions. Outside, the wind continues, slow and endless, unconcerned. Weeks become months, equations become machines, machines become cores of dense metal, small and silent. They are lifted carefully, tested in secrecy, hidden away. A date is chosen, a desert is marked, the site is given a name, Trinity. Before dawn, a few hundred people gather. They wait in the cool air, wrapped in blankets, their breath visible in the dark. No one speaks. The horizon is empty, still black and wide. At the center of that silence stands a tower. At its top rests a sphere of metal, balanced and waiting. Wires trail down to the sand, connected to shelters far away. Every part of it hums with stillness. A voice begins to count. 10, 9, 8. The numbers fall slowly into the air, each one softer than the last, like breaths between heartbeats. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
For a moment, there is nothing.
Then light. It rises not like fire, but like the birth of a sun, a brightness so absolute that shadows disappear before they can exist. The desert turns white. The sky becomes sound. And for a single heartbeat, the world holds its breath. The fire that began in a cave has returned, not as warmth, but as revelation. In that instant, everything changes: matter, light, thought, time itself. All are touched by the same silent brilliance. The sound follows, rolling over the ground like thunder. It travels for miles, meets the wind, and fades into stillness again. When it is over, no one speaks. The horizon glows faintly, pink and grey, before the light dissolves into dawn. Someone whispers, "I am become death." The words drift away, barely heard, and vanish into the cooling air. Around him, others stand quietly. Some remove their goggles, some weep. Others only stare at the sky, now empty and innocent once more. The fire is gone, but not gone. It has moved again, into thought, into fear, into the quiet hum of history. The desert returns to silence. The wind resumes its slow path. The stars, patient and eternal, look down once more. For a moment, it feels as if nothing has happened. Only the sand remembers. Only the air carries the faint scent of something new. Far away, cities begin to wake. The world continues. People rise, pour coffee, open newspapers. Trains move, lights flicker, conversations begin. Yet beneath that rhythm, something has shifted. The ancient fire has crossed another threshold. It has become light, so powerful it can destroy itself. And still it is the same fire, the same curiosity, the same spark that once kept the dark away. Across centuries, human hands have reached for it, warming themselves, worshipping it, studying it, fearing it, and still they reach. Now that fire burns quietly again, not in the desert, not in the sky, but in memory. The laboratories fall silent, the workers return home, the notebooks are closed, the equations remain, written in chalk, in ash, in numbers and light. The world has changed forever, and yet, above it all, the stars have not. The same darkness, the same stillness, the same endless watch. The fire has traveled from cave to cosmos, from hand to atom, from warmth to awe. And as the desert cools once more, the wind drifts softly through the sand, whispering the oldest truth, that creation and destruction are never far apart. That every spark, no matter how bright, is born from the same silence. In that silence, life continues, quiet, unfolding, infinite. The fire remains, waiting for whoever comes next to find it again, to name it again, to hold it again, and perhaps this time to remember how to keep it gentle. Clothing the ancient world. The fire of invention has cooled, and the world has turned again. The glow that once filled the sky now settles back into the quiet rhythm of ordinary life. People rise, work, rest, and begin once more to shape their world, not through force, not through power, but through touch. The hands that once forged tools now learn to weave. Threads replace iron. The hum of looms replaces the roar of machines. And, slowly, softly, a new form of creation begins to take shape: clothing. At first, it is not about beauty. It is about shelter, protection, warmth. The earliest people wrap themselves in animal skins, stitched roughly together with bone and sinew. Each piece is practical, necessary, and alive with the marks of the creature that gave it. There are no patterns, no colors, only survival. Yet even then, in the smallest motions of cutting and tying, there is a quiet artistry. The hand hesitates, adjusts, chooses. Somewhere deep inside, the instinct to create has already awakened. As time passes, the earth grows more settled. People remain longer in one place. They plant, they harvest, they raise animals not only for food, but for fiber. Wool, flax, hemp. The raw beginnings of fabric emerge from the soil itself. The rhythm of the world becomes the rhythm of spinning. The wheel turns, the thread stretches, and the sound of work becomes a kind of music. It is slow, repetitive, endlessly patient. Each thread is a line of time, twisted and drawn from the earth. In the river valleys of Mesopotamia, people discover how to weave fibers into cloth. The loom becomes an extension of the hands, a simple machine that holds the thread steady while the shuttle passes back and forth. The process is long and precise. The fabric grows one line at a time, each motion depending on the one before. It is the same kind of quiet work that shaped flint and fire so long ago, one repetition after another, until something lasting appears. Soon, the simple becomes intentional. In the soft light of early morning, a woman dips her thread into a pot of crushed plants. The colors bloom slowly: ochre, green, a soft grey blue. They are not bright, but alive in a different way, subtle, earthy, connected to the soil that made them. When the cloth dries, it holds that color like memory. These are the first dyes, the first choices of beauty. In Egypt, the sun beats down on the Nile, and the people there choose something different. They spin linen from the stalks of flax, fine and pale as light itself. When the wind moves through it, it ripples like water. The Egyptians wear it loose and cool, a fabric that breathes with the desert air. They drape it carefully over their bodies, clean, white, quiet. The lines are simple. The effect is grace without effort. For them, clothing is not decoration, it is harmony between body and world. Farther north in the colder lands, wool becomes the answer. It is thick, warm, forgiving. People twist it into heavy threads, then weave it into cloth that can endure the wind. The garments are plain but strong. They carry the scent of smoke and earth, of hands that work and mend. There is comfort in their weight, a kind of companionship against the cold. In Greece, the loom becomes an art. Cloth is woven wide, then folded and pinned rather than cut. The chiton and himation are not sewn into shapes, but allowed to fall as they will, guided by gravity and grace. The folds move with the body, creating lines that shift with every gesture. Light plays across the fabric, forming patterns of its own. The Greeks discover that beauty lies not in complexity but in proportion, in the natural balance of form and movement. Their clothing, like their architecture, is a conversation between order and ease. Across the sea, in Rome, fabric becomes language. The toga, long and heavy, wraps the body in a single, unbroken piece. To wear it is to belong, to be seen, to be known. The folds are deliberate, symbolic. The color, white, marks the citizen, purple the senator, red the soldier. The garment is no longer just protection, it is identity, woven and displayed. Each layer tells the world who a person is before a word is spoken. In Asia, silk is born. It begins quietly from the smallest creature. In the mulberry groves of ancient China, silkworms spin their fine cocoons, and someone, perhaps by accident, drops one into hot water. The thread loosens, long and soft as breath. From that discovery grows an entire art, spinning, reeling, weaving silk so delicate it catches light like water. The fabric moves as if alive. To wear it is to feel the air itself turned into cloth. Centuries pass. The weavers of India master cotton, light and smooth, dyed in colors that outlast the years. Patterns bloom like gardens, hand-blocked, stamped, and painted with care. In Japan, threads are folded and sewn into kimonos that wrap the body in layers of history and ritual. In Africa, bright woven cloths speak in color and pattern, each stripe, each design carrying meaning older than words. Every culture speaks through fabric. Every hand leaves its own rhythm in the weave. And yet, beneath all the difference, the purpose remains the same: warmth, protection, connection. Clothing is a language that began before speech, a way of saying, "I am here," without sound. In every thread is the echo of touch. The act of weaving is both work and meditation. The body learns the rhythm, and the rhythm shapes the mind. The hands move without thought. The threads cross and lock until the pattern holds. The cloth grows slowly, like breath made visible. Over time, what was once necessity becomes art. Color becomes symbol, pattern becomes pride, fabric becomes memory. A mother teaches her daughter the way to twist fiber just right, the way to keep tension even, the way to tie off the last knot. These gestures pass down through generations, unchanged. Every cloth holds a trace of the person who made it. Every fold remembers the body it once touched. As the centuries continue, clothing evolves but never leaves its origin. The threads may come from machines now, the dyes from chemistry instead of earth, but the impulse remains, covering, expressing, belonging. The hum of the modern loom is faster, louder, but the sound is still the same song, the repetition of hands transforming raw material into care. Across history, clothing has always been a reflection, not just of culture, but of rhythm. The way fabric drapes, the way it moves, the way it catches the wind, all of it tells a story about how people live within their world. In the desert, the cloth flows. In the mountains, it holds tight. In the forest, it blends with shade. Everywhere, it adapts. When you imagine the ancient world now, you can almost see it. The flicker of sunlight on linen, the quiet weight of wool, the shimmer of silk in a passing breeze. You can hear the low, steady sound of the loom, the whisper of fibers sliding across each other. Each motion is slow, precise, and human. And if you listen closely enough, you can still hear that rhythm today, in the rustle of your own clothes, in the soft drag of fabric against skin, in the faint sound of threads brushing together as you move. Every piece you wear carries a memory of that first weaving, of that first instinct to protect and to express. From fur to fiber, from hand to machine, from survival to style, clothing has always been an act of continuity. It ties us to the beginning, to those first hands that twisted thread beside the fire, to the patient rhythm of creation that has never truly stopped. Even now, in the quiet moments before sleep, the fabric against your skin carries that same message. It is warmth. It is shelter. It is history, woven, stretched, and softened by time. The thread has never broken. It only changes color, texture, and form. And through it all, it continues, gentle, endless, familiar. the lens and the eye. The thread of human creation never stopped. From the quiet weaving of cloth came the weaving of ideas, thin, delicate, and endless. The same patience that once spun fibers now turns toward light. The same curiosity that once watched a spark of fire now studies the glow of the sun through glass. And so begins another story, not of warmth, but of sight. Long before machines, before factories, before the hum of electricity, there were hands shaping glass by firelight. Sand melted and cooled into something new, something clear. When held up to the sun, it caught the light and bent it. A shimmer, a distortion, a secret hidden in transparency. No one knew what it meant yet, but they could feel its quiet promise. The world could be seen differently. In ancient Egypt, craftsmen polished quartz into beads and charms. They did not think of vision, they thought of beauty and protection. Yet even then, the glass carried power. It caught the light in a way stone could not. It held something alive within it. In Mesopotamia, glassmakers found that heat could change not just form, but perception. In Rome, they turned molten sand into windows, letting light into their homes for the first time. To look through glass was to see a gentler world, blurred, softened, transformed by distance. Centuries passed, and somewhere in a monastery, a monk discovered that a small, curved piece of glass could make the letters on a page grow larger. It was simple at first, just a reading stone laid across parchment, but it changed everything. The lens had been born. The act of seeing would never be the same. In time, those stones were shaped and mounted in frames. The first spectacles appeared in Italy, worn by scholars and scribes. Imagine the dim glow of candlelight on their faces, the glint of curved glass catching the flicker of flame. Through those tiny circles, entire worlds of words came into focus again. For the first time in human history, age no longer dimmed sight entirely. Knowledge could continue. Reading could last a lifetime. It was not invention for glory, it was invention for comfort, for the quiet dignity of clarity. The lens became an extension of the human desire to understand. Every improvement brought the world a little closer. Every new curve revealed more of what had always been there. As the centuries unfolded, lenses multiplied. They were placed together, combined, adjusted. 2 became 3, then 4. With each refinement, humanity's gaze stretched further outward and further inward. The telescope opened the heavens, the microscope opened the invisible. Through one, people saw the vastness of the stars, through the other, the intricacy of a cell. The same piece of glass, turned differently, revealed opposite infinities, the endless above and the endless below. Each discovery was both humbling and magnificent. In the hands of Galileo, the telescope revealed moons circling Jupiter, proof that not everything turned around Earth. The universe, it seemed, was wider than belief. And in the laboratories that followed, the microscope uncovered worlds within worlds, organisms smaller than thought, structures hidden within life itself. With every revelation, the lens reshaped not only what people saw, but who they believed themselves to be. The universe was vast, the body complex, and between them lay a fragile, luminous thread of understanding. Light passing through glass, bending just enough to make the invisible visible. The craft of glassmaking grew with each century. In the villages of Murano, in the workshops of France and Germany, artisans perfected the art of transparency. They learned to remove the bubbles, to balance the heat, to give clarity to what was once opaque. Each lens was both science and poetry, a frozen moment of molten light caught forever in solid form. And still it returned to the same place, the eye. The human eye itself a living lens, fragile and perfect, a small sphere filled with liquid and light. The curved surface focuses the world, drawing an image onto the back of the mind. Every time a person blinks, they reassemble reality for themselves. Every time they look, they create the world anew. To understand the lens is to understand the act of perception. It is not the object that changes, but the way light reaches us. Through glass, the world bends, softens, deepens. Through understanding, it becomes clearer still. In dark rooms, lenses became tools of art. The camera obscura captured light on walls, then on film. Photographs began to hold moments the way fabric once held warmth. Faces, landscapes, memories, all suspended in thin sheets of silver and light. To see became to preserve became to remember. Over time, lenses left the hands of artisans and entered the pockets of nearly everyone. They sit now in cameras, in phones, in the smallest corners of daily life. They record without rest, turning the light of the world into pixels and data. Yet the purpose remains unchanged: to see, to remember, to connect. Even now, when you lift a lens, whether to read, to watch, or to capture, you are continuing that same lineage of curiosity. The same instinct that once shaped flint, that once wove cloth, that once tamed fire, now bends light. Every reflection, every image, every focus is a quiet echo of that first spark of awareness. Think of how it feels to look through glass, the subtle distortion at the edges, the way the world shifts just slightly, becomes sharper, yet somehow softer too. It is a small miracle, one so common we have forgotten its wonder. But within that act is a deep truth. Sight is not only physical, it is emotional. It is memory made visible. The lens has not just changed how we see, it has changed what we see. It has shown us that the universe is both vast and fragile, that the smallest thing can contain infinity, and that clarity is never permanent. It is always being remade, adjusted, focused again. In a way, every lens is a mirror too. When we peer through it, into the stars, into the cells, into the eyes of another person, we are always, in some small way, looking back at ourselves. We are the watchers and the watched, the creators and the subjects of our own vision. The world through glass is beautiful in its imperfection. It shimmers, bends, and sometimes blurs. It reminds us that seeing clearly is not the same as understanding fully. The most important things, the warmth of another hand, the weight of silence, the pulse of the earth, cannot be magnified or captured. They can only be felt. And so, as the night deepens and your own eyes grow heavy, the lens rests again. The world outside softens, the light dims, the last images fade into a blur that is neither near nor far, just still. Perhaps that is the most honest vision of all. Not perfect clarity, but gentle acceptance. The understanding that the world, like glass, is fragile and full of light. You close your eyes. Inside the darkness, there are shapes, faint, fluid, luminous. The lens of your mind continues its quiet work, turning memory into dream. And once again, sight becomes something softer, something felt instead of seen. The quiet continuum. The story has come full circle. The fire that once flickered in a cave has become the quiet glow behind a screen. The same hands that shaped stone now touch glass. The same breath that once fed flame now powers the rhythm of machines. And still beneath every invention, every discovery, every heartbeat of progress, there remains the same soft pulse, the will to exist, to create, to understand. Across millennia, humanity has changed its tools, its language, its skin of civilization, yet the essence has not shifted. We have always been creatures of wonder and rhythm. We rise with the light, we sleep with the dark, we build, we destroy, we rebuild again. Every gesture, no matter how small, echoes the first one, a spark drawn from friction, a moment of recognition in the stillness. If you listen closely now, you can hear it, the same sound that has never stopped. The hum beneath everything, the sound of life repeating itself in new forms. The murmur of electricity in the walls is the same as wind through the grass. The faint pulse of engines on the horizon is the same cadence as footsteps in the sand. What we call modern is only ancient memory reshaped. The timeline of history stretches and folds. Somewhere far behind us, a hand strikes flint. Somewhere ahead, another hand touches light. Between them lies the vastness of everything that has ever been thought or felt. Every generation leaves a trace, and the traces form a pattern too large to see all at once. It is not a line, it is a circle, slow and luminous, turning without end. There was a time when the night was endless and terrifying, and a single spark meant survival. Now the night is filled with 1,000 small suns, lamps, screens, stars reborn by human touch. Yet their meaning is the same. Each glow says, "I am here." Each light is a declaration of being. The continuum is quiet because it does not need to announce itself. It has always been here, inside every story told around the fire, inside every heartbeat, every pause between thoughts. It moves through time like breath through lungs, invisible but necessary. You are part of it. You always have been. Close your eyes for a moment. Imagine the thread that connects you to every moment before this one. It runs through the soil beneath your feet, through the air you breathe, through the warmth that touches your skin. It passes through generations, the builders, the dreamers, the silent observers. Each of them left something behind, and that something lives quietly within you. When you inhale, you breathe in atoms that once belonged to stars. When you exhale, you give them back to the world. The same materials that formed mountains and oceans move through your body with every breath. You are not separate from the earth or the sky or the fire. You are their continuation. Somewhere, a city sleeps. Somewhere else, dawn begins to glow along the edge of another horizon. The planet turns with its slow and constant grace, carrying all of us forward together. The clocks we've built try to measure this motion, but time is older than any measure. It does not tick. It drifts. It is not a line, but a tide, rising and falling without end. Think of all that has passed through that tide, the laughter of children who never knew their names would be remembered, the hands that carved, that wrote, that built, that loved. Think of how many nights have come and gone, how many fires have burned down to ash, how many mornings have begun again, exactly the same. The continuity of being is both fragile and infinite. As you rest now, you are part of that same rhythm. The world outside continues gently, indifferently, but also faithfully. Trees breathe in the dark, oceans turn over themselves. Somewhere a small flame still flickers, tended by someone you will never meet, but who feels the same warmth you do now. The history of humanity is not a story of noise and conquest. It is a story of quiet persistence. The way light continues to return each morning. The way we continue to reach for it. Even in our most complicated moments, we are still made of simple things. The desire to see, to connect, to endure. From the whisper of a cave to the hum of a city, from a single ember to the glow of satellites circling the planet, every moment is a variation of the same note. existence hums softly beneath the surface of everything. You are listening to it now. The steady rhythm of your breath, the faint beating of your heart. These are not yours alone. They are the song the world has always sung. Let yourself drift into that sound. Let the boundaries blur a little. The walls fade, the lights dim, and all that remains is the slow pulse of time itself, moving through you like a current. You do not need to hold it or understand it. You only need to be. In this quiet space, there is no beginning, no end. There is only continuation. The fire still burns somewhere, the water still moves, the stars still shine. History continues not as noise but as breath, and you here, now, are part of that soft, endless rhythm. So let the world fade for a while. Let your mind loosen its grip. The story is still being told, but you no longer need to follow it. The fire is still burning, but it will not go out. The stars are still watching as they always have. Breathe once more, slowly. Feel the air enter, warm and quiet. Feel it leave, even quieter still. The continuum holds you now. You are safe. You are part of the long, unbroken silence that connects everything to everything else. And in that silence, the world rests. So do you.